This sermon is about the struggle to find true love. Not the love you're thinking about, the kind of love that sweeps you off your feet and makes all the pain go away, even if just temporarily. This sermon is about the struggle to find true love for the exiles. Not the kind of exiles you're thinking about. The ones who are strangers to us, faces in social media posts or stories in the news. This sermon is about the struggle to find true love for the parts of you that have been banished. Probably very young ones, probably locked away for a long, long time. You learned early that this part of you was not safe in the world, that this part of you is clothed in the sackcloth of shame, in the shackles of blame. This part of you is guarded by many protectors and managers and emergency workers who make sure this one stays far from your consciousness. These protectors, these managers, these emergency workers are driven and determined to keep this exile hidden and quiet and hopefully forgotten and finally unknown. This is a sermon about how that internal captivity is a survival skill and a way to keep living, but only halfway. This is a sermon about the places that have not known love, or the places we're certain could never possibly know love. So we ourselves withhold love, because extending love into that cavernous place, well, that opens up a box that puts Pandora to shame. This is a sermon about the sorrow of a neglected inner child, a rejected little one, an abandoned emotional landscape, an attempted erasure of your full humanity, and mine, and ours. Because all the exiles within each of us add up to whole families, whole societies, whole cultures, estranged from themselves, at odds with themselves, living at cross purposes, self-destructing, shaming and shunning the vulnerability that could make us whole. This is a sermon about the ways we are the Jerusalem that elicited Jesus' sorrow and grief, the internal map of a holy land living as a war zone, where the true prophets rarely have a fighting chance. Our exiles are our prophets. They're creative. They're honest. They're innocent. They are true. They're the ones who needed love from the family of things, but instead they got exasperation, chastisement. Instead, they got hostility and blame and rejection. Instead, they got violence and cruelty. They've got the scar tissue to show for it. Jesus' sorrow is for all of us, and he bears it all for us. The pain of being rejected and thrown away by the human family that is supposed to welcome us and make room for us, and rejoice that we're here to make the world better, more complete. There is one that wants to love all of us, every part, but we bristle at that kind of exposure. Get out of here, Jesus, like Herod said. I'm going to kill you. You tell that fox, Jesus says, I'm going to keep on doing the work of loving every last part of the people. You tell that fox, Jesus says, that I'm going to keep on calling the demons by name because I can really see the pain. You tell that fox, Jesus says, that he can't stop me from sharing the medicine God gave me to share. You see, Jesus is our exiles. Jesus sees your exiles, and they don't scare him one bit. He does not want them to stay quiet. Jesus sees your exiles and invites them into his embrace so he can tincture the pain with maybe some sweet warm tea, a soft place to rest, a shoulder to weep on, weeping stitched together with stories, memories, the true history, the true her story, the actual story of the time when the exile was just getting their bearings in the world, just stretching their wings, the joy they felt at discovery, the trust they had for the world, the ways they saw colors and creatures, the music they knew by heart, the drumbeat that they were eager to share with anyone who would listen. This is a sermon that simply acknowledges the prophet, the artist, the playful creative, the medicine one, the lover of song, the curious adventurer, the wise one who wondered and wandered, the playful, passionate one who shouted and cried with abandon at injustice, the one who drank in love like a delicious warm soup that had the roundest, deepest flavor of home. This is a sermon that makes space for the grief of the lost years, the fallow field that could have grown wildflowers, the regret that never got to find its answer, its resolution, its full circle. This is a sermon that can't find the full sentences to tell you the story of the lost ones, because I'm still coaxing my exile to tell me more. She starts to come out tentatively, hesitantly, and then another storm hits. And the protectors whisk her away to a place so deep that I forgot she's there. I can be so hell-bent on not remembering her that I can relearn the shame and blame again about the fact that I actually need people too. It hurts too much to realize how much vitality I passed on for the sake of survival. This is a sermon about the golden thread that keeps me forever connected to her and you to your sweet exile. It's not too late to make space for them, to stick around for a while, to go to the grocery store and stock up on some ingredients for the food our souls really need. No part of you is defective. No part of you is worthless. The convulsions of our nation right now show us the danger of continuing to push our exiles away. That strategy always leads to violence. Disappearing someone takes a lot of firepower and cruelty and lots of distractions and anesthesia. Lots of lies and deprivation to make us numb and afraid. We see the consequences of sleeping on the parts of us who were told to sit down and shut up and go away and stop asking us to feel the pain. Acknowledging the loss that comes from life, being trivialized for survival, might be the step we can take today. The exiles can say, stay safely tucked away if we need them to right now. But if we could just make space for what was not that we needed to be, maybe we can catch a glimpse of what can be that we've never known before. Looking for love without fully knowing the love will take us on some dangerous paths. Looking for love by loving the exiles starts with letting them be worth our sorrow and letting them be worth the liberation that we say is for all. That has to really be all. And that starts with all of you and all of me. All the ones lost in the winds of history repeating itself instead of history feeding us the truth that can set us free. So, Grace Covenant, this is the best I have to offer today. because I'm working alongside you in this tangle of pain and loss. I'm struggling with you in this cycle of denial and dangerous lies. I'm striving with you to hold on to the promise of a better world, despite the violent regression that we are in. I was up all night listening to the winds howl and hearing the rain fall sideways and remembering rising that morning to see the destruction that would change us forever almost 6 months ago. I pray you hear in this grief poetry the love that I have for you and for us. The earnest hope that I hold on to that our liberation really is the umbilical cord of our shared humanity, and that something new really is being born. Sorrow is not our enemy. She does not slow us down. She gives us truth. She fuels the fire of the energy we need to continue building our shared future, not leaving the exiles within us behind, but by finally making space for them to show us the way. Thanks be to God.